What if all you had to do was change one decision, and that one decision sparked a chain reaction which got you back on track? What if I told you that I figured out what it is and I use it every time I get stuck in a rut or in a bad routine? And when I'm coaching men, it's also the very first thing that we focus on. I remember feeling like I was stuck. I would wake up each day feeling groggy, tired, and have a sense of dread. My entire day was filled with distractions to hide the fact that I was fucking miserable. This would often lead to stress or anxiety, and sometimes both. So I would look for the quickest fix, which would usually be endless scrolling and just telling myself to make it through the week and then I can have fun on the weekend. It's crazy how quickly we can normalize suffering. I had all these goals and things I wanted to do, but I was stuck in Groundhog Day. And even though I knew I needed to change, I was addicted to distractions and dopamine hits because they were comforting and they were an instant, easy relief. And the opposing action I knew would take effort and it meant change. And this led to one of the biggest realizations I had. I wanted to change, but I didn't need to change. And when our wants outweigh our needs, comfort wins every single time. But I was beginning to get desperate. I wanted to feel that feeling you get when you're winning. You know the one, when the excitement builds from seeing progress and from making the right decisions and from overcoming those bad habits. One of the most important feelings for a man is feeling in control. And when we lack control over our decision making and our behavior, it absolutely crushes our self-worth. And we begin to lose the very thing that makes us men, our masculinity. One day I was aimlessly scrolling and I came across a quote. And it was like someone violently shaking me out of this spell I seemed to be stuck in. And it read, "The quality of your questions will determine the quality of your life." Sometimes all we need is the right question. And I thought, I've stopped asking questions. Come to think of it, I've stopped doing anything that might lead me to having to step out of my comfort zone and this shit routine I seem to be stuck in. So I began asking better questions, like, what starts this routine that I seem to be stuck in? What is the very first thing I do? What is the very first decision I have to make? And that's when it hit me. What if I stop hitting snooze? And that's when it all became clear. That's when it all started to make sense. If the first decision I have to make is staying in bed, the comfort and the warmth of staying in bed and hitting snooze, or getting out of bed when the alarm goes off, I'm choosing comfort every single morning over and over and over again. By hitting snooze, I'm flicking the switch for that specific program that I seem to be stuck in. And I've come to understand and believe that how we start the day really does set the tone for the day. And every time we choose comfort, we're putting what we want on pause. Think about this. Every time you make a decision, you are making a habit. And the neural pathways in your brain are building and strengthening that habit. It may seem like an innocent decision, hitting snooze in the morning, but behind hitting snooze is a covert program that puts you on autopilot, and a lot of the time we're completely unaware that we're stuck in this program. And that program is the reason you choose not to go to the gym, not to ask for a pay rise, not to have that difficult conversation, not to go all in on that business idea. And this program that we get stuck in is the main reason that you never take that next step up. And the reason we avoid these things in this program is because it requires you to do things that are uncomfortable. And because we become so used to making decisions based on comfort and what's familiar to us, we avoid doing the very things that will help us achieve what we want. We are either consciously in control or subconsciously running on an automated program. And that program is called stuck. So that one morning, I didn't hit snooze. I got out of bed and now I have this extra 10, 15 minutes. But to be completely honest with you, I was very, very tempted and almost did go back into bed. But from having made that difficult decision, I felt a sprinkle of momentum. And I thought I may as well do something constructive with my time. So I got down and I started doing some push ups. And starting a day with movement or exercise is another big win. And the first win is obviously getting up without hitting snooze, because you are choosing discomfort, and discomfort is where progress lives. So you've made two decisions which have made you choose discomfort within the first few minutes of waking up in the morning. But guess what's just happened? Congratulations, you've just changed the program. So how do you know that you've actually changed the program? Well, for me, I started the day with something I hadn't felt in a long time. And that was the feeling of accomplishment, the feeling of winning, the feeling of being in control. I had some energy. I felt like I had some momentum. And now, having just made that one decision, you start to view things differently. You start to see your problems with a different perspective. And sure enough, if you change the way that you look at your problems begin to change. Meaning you begin to see openings, and these openings enable you to start seeing and finding solutions. And now as you go through the day, you start to behave differently. You start to seek and look out for different types of content when you're online. I started looking up and researching morning routines. I started listening to podcasts. I started writing down my goals. All of a sudden, 6 months had gone by, and now I was completely unrecognizable as a person. Now, listen, I'm not going to sit here and make out like at that point that everything became easy all of a sudden. No, it didn't. But the difference was, instead of me looking for reasons to not do something when I was faced with a difficult decision, I would look for reasons to do it. I had momentum, and it's all about momentum. And at that time, how that looked for me was moving away from the comfort of being a personal trainer working in a gym to being an online performance coach, helping men with their self-discipline, their accountability, and becoming productive with their time. And after making that decision, everything began to change. I started delivering talks and running workshops. I started gaining clients and eventually did a TEDx talk. Eventually, I was able to go 100% online, and I began traveling around the world running this online business. And over the last 3.5 years, I've been lucky enough to live in over 10 countries. So much can change with one decision. I wonder what would happen if you stopped hitting snooze.